for two. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this. Multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty Redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Armchair Fantasy Show, episode 217. I am your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are live every Wednesday night on the Going42 Live Podcast Network on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Syndicated in all major podcast networks and streaming the Going42 app for iOS and Android. I'm here as always with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Steerfoss. You can follow him at Foss534. What's up, Ryan?
Oh man, not much. Getting antsy for football to start.
I know. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I'm all like, I'm thinking it's next week. I'm already like too close to the season starting. I'm already thinking it's next week, but we still got another week to go after that. So
yeah, don't do that to yourself.
100% agree. All right, guys, as you can see, we got a pretty large panel here tonight. We're going to be doing a redraft mock draft. Let's introduce the panel really quick. First up, we have Ralph Martinez from Lobo's Fantasy Football Den podcast. He also writes for Dynasty Pros and for the Fantasy Football Face-Off. You can follow him at Lobo's FF Den. What's up, Ralph?
What's up? What's up, boys? Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here and excited to get this rolling.
Definitely, man. I know we've been talking on Twitter for like it seems like years, man. It's good to finally get you on the podcast and put a face to a name. You know what I mean? On Twitter, It just becomes that avatar. I just see the avatar and I recognize you, but now I get to see your face, man. Good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, brother. I appreciate it.
Good stuff. All right. Also joining us tonight, Mr. Rod Villagomez, host of the Fantasy Football Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. You can follow him at RJ Villagomez. What's up, Rod?
Jeff, brother, it's good to be on, man. I'm stoked. I can't wait. I know, like just like you and our man down here, we've been talking for a little while, and it's finally good to see your face and to talk to you in person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we've been Twitter friends for quite a while, man. It's good to see you on the show finally. This next guy is no stranger to the show. He's been on quite a bit. I think he's been on maybe 3 times in the last month. It feels like Mr. Erik Johnson. Co-host of the Fantasy Friends podcast, writer at Going42, and he'll be joining our Sunday morning pregame show on Going42 Live this season. What's up, Erik?
Not much, man. I'm just excited to be on again and dominate this mock draft.
Already talking trash. I like it.
I just throw a little hand grenade out there, you know.
I like it. All right, and finally up, we got Mr. Jeff Hasley, senior writer for FootballGuys.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeff Hasley. What's up, Jeff?
Jeff, how are you? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Looking forward to another draft and just kind of seeing how things evolve here as we get closer to the season. So that season can't get here soon enough.
Yes, sir. I agree 100%. I can't wait till the season starts. I've already got my whole week 1 planned out and what I'm going to be doing that day. Wife already knows, like, this is my day. Don't you know, take the daughter and go somewhere. This is my day. I'm not leaving in front of the TV all day. All right, so this is what we're going to do tonight, guys. We're going to have a 1 QB PPR redraft league. We were hoping to get one more person on here. Hopefully he can jump on eventually. Kyle, he will have the 102 once we start. Hopefully he gets here in time. Otherwise, we got Erik at the 104. We have Jeff at the 106, Rod at the 108, Ralph at the 110, and Ryan has the turn with the 112. I'm going to go ahead and get the mock here shared on the screen, and so y'all can see what's going on here. Let's turn this on.
And Kyle gets a kicker, right?
No kickers in this league, please. No kickers. We don't support kickers in this league. All All right, guys, are we ready to do it?
Let's go.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
do this.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right, so I'm first on the clock, and I'm just going to pick Christian McCaffrey and then go on auto draft. And with Kyle not being here yet, I'm going to go ahead and just auto draft him so we can get to our next pick here. And hit that auto draft. So Christian McCaffrey went 101, of course. 102 was Dalvin Cook. And the 103 is, I'm going to have to do auto draft for that one as well here. I don't know why it's not letting me.
Just hit start draft.
Oh, there we go. All right, so Fantasy Barbecue, you are up at 104.
103's done sniped me already. This didn't start out well, but I tell you what, Alvin Kamara is a pretty damn good consolation prize, especially now that we know Jameis Winston is going to be the starter. I like that a lot better for him. Obviously, he pushes the ball down the field more, but give me Alvin Kamara. Let's go.
All right, I love it. And right after that, the 105 was Saquon Barkley. So we've got Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. Saquon Barkley went right at the front there. Jeff, you got the 106. Where are you going here?
I'm going with Jonathan Taylor. I'm a big fan of his. I'm excited to see what he can do with another year. I'm not concerned about Marlon Mack as someone who some people are like, he's going to eat into the carries and the carry share. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's Taylor, and I think he has a great season, so he's my pick.
Not worried about the injuries there with Carson Wentz and the offensive lineman. You think they're going to be fine?
Not particularly. No, I'm not.
All right, good stuff. Nick Chubb went at 107. And next up is whose icon is that there? I can't tell.
That's me. That's my XFL days. I threw it back a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't change it in time for this draft, but that's me. I'm there. And I got to tell you, I'm okay with taking a wide receiver here in a PPR. I like Davonte Adams. I know a lot of people want to go with Tyreek, but I just feel like this is Aaron Rodgers' swan song, and he's going to go out with a bang, and so is Davonte Adams. And this is going to be one of those seasons where if you don't have Adams, you might be losing some weeks.
Yep, I like it. And this is a good spot to take the receiver there, too, at the 108. The 109, of course, goes Tyreek Hill. The 110, you are on the clock, Mr. Ralph.
It's a no-brainer for me with this pick. I'm looking at some of the running backs left on the board. This running back in particular, I would probably take over some of the guys earlier. We seem to have forgotten what he can do. And with the somewhat healthy Dak, and that offensive line back, man, Zeke is a no-brainer for me at 110, especially in a PPR format.
And you said you take him above a couple of the guys already drafted. Let me ask you, how high would you have taken him if you had any pick that you could have taken?
I'm going 106. I'm going as high as 106. I would take him above Nick Chubb, and it's a toss-up between Jonathan Taylor just because of that uncertainty of how they'll use him. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Taylor, but I think that PPR reception, and I mean Pollard will dig into some of those receptions, but I don't think it impacts Zeke much. I mean, we've seen him have some amazing years. He's in great shape. Between that and Hard Knocks, what he's looking like, I would definitely take Zeke at 106. So it's a steal for me at 110.
Good stuff. All right, at the 111 goes Aaron Jones, and Ryan, you were up at the turn with the 112 and the 201.
Man, running backs got gutted before it got to me. Kind of changed my initial plan up a little bit. Go Travis Kelce, get that heart reposition, and he's a difference maker, especially because tight end is just so weak after the top 5. So I'm locking that position up. And I am taking a chance on preseason hype, and I can't miss out on a running back with that long term. I'm taking Najee Harris. He's looked so good in the passing game, and Big Ben's shown that he can go to a running back a lot. When we've seen Connor with 50-plus catches, who's nowhere near the receiving talent. I'm really excited about that. He just keeps inching up the draft boards.
Yeah, he's looked good in preseason, too. He had that one, I think it was like a 47-yard catch and run that he had in a recent game. So, yeah, he's definitely looked good. Let's recap the first round really quick. Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry went the first 3. Kamara, Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. Then it was Nick Chubb, Davonte Adams, Tyreek Hill. And then the end of the first round, we have Ezekiel Elliott, Aaron Jones, and then Travis Kelce at the turn. Najee Harris, we have our first quarterback off the board, taken by the 111. And we are back to you, Mr. Lobos.
If anyone here follows me, this next pick is super obvious. Another running back who I believe should be in the first round. A lot of potential with this offense, and just going through and understanding the reception upside in this guy. I mean, I have him projected at close to 75 receptions this year, but Austin Eckler, he's if he can stay healthy, he's gonna have a phenomenal year. So I'm pumped to start with Zeke and with Eckler.
Good stuff. Yeah, I agree. I think Eckler could be in the first round for me as well. I think that's a great call there. The 109 goes Stephon Diggs, and then we are back to you, Rod, with the 205.
You know, I never enter these drafts wanting to be a 0 RB guy, but sometimes the board just shakes out that way, and you just got to go with what you get. And look, I could have taken Metcalf, I could have taken Ridley, but I really think that A.J. Brown in this Titans offense is just going to be a monster this year. I mean, I know that, you know, he's got some competition, I guess, as it were, in Julio Jones, but I don't think that's going to be enough to slow him down. And I think he's going to be better, I think, in the end than a Ridley or a Metcalf when this season's all said and done. And if I've got two really good wide receivers, I think I'm okay for the first couple of rounds in this PPR league.
I like it. I like how coming into A.J. Brown's second year, we all talked about his efficiency in his rookie year and how it couldn't repeat. Not only did it repeat, but it was even better in the second year. So I think if with him and Tannehill being there, I think it's definitely a money pick there in the second round. DK Metcalf goes next at the 206, and then Jeff, you are up at the 207.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got a really good team so far, you know, with 1-2 picks. I'm going to try and keep my team as good as the others here, and also take care of position scarcity here. I'm going to go with Darren Waller, the Raiders' top receiver by far, and you know, I think that he has a possibility of being in that 1 or that 2 tight end spot. So I don't know if he can jump Kelsey, but he's good enough for me to start every week. So I'm thankful to have a running back and a tight end in my first 2 picks.
Yeah, that tight end position is very top heavy with those two players, and you could throw Kittle in that mix too. And having that position scarcity definitely helps you out. And you've already locked down your running back position, so I like that pick there. Calvin Ridley goes at the 208. Eric, we're up to you at the 209.
All right, so we got a couple options here. Obviously, Joe Mixon, never Joe Mixon for me, so we're not doing that at all.
Facts.
I got some support out there. I'm going to take a guy who has averaged at least 10 targets a game for the past 4 seasons. DeAndre Hopkins, it's a lock. He's getting 170 targets if he plays all 17 games. Let me get that volume. And he's awesome, too. Like, let's just be honest.
I love it. Yeah, I love Hopkins. I think I have Hopkins as my number 1 overall receiver, believe it or not. I'm one of the few that still have him that high. Kittle goes at the to the 210, and then we're up to Kyle at the 211. I see his little green dot, so I think he's logged in there. So he is drafting. He just can't join us. He takes Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the 211. Me at the turn, I got auto-drafted Antonio Gibson, which is awesome for me because I have Gibson as my number 7 overall running back. I probably would have taken him in the first round. I love Gibson this year. Then Jefferson goes at the 301. And we're back to Kyle at the 302. Let's see if he gets a pick in there before we move on to the next one here. Give him a chance to make a pick. There we go. He takes Allen Robinson, his first receiver. So Dalvin Cook, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Allen Robinson's a pretty good trio of players there. Joe Mixon goes at the 303, and now we're up to the 304, and we're back to you, Eric.
I'm just going to keep adding target hogs to this team. Keenan Allen, I mean, Lord have mercy. He crushed it with Justin Herbert last season. It's another season with built rapport over the offseason now. Give me Keenan Allen. He doesn't have the greatest touchdown upside. I don't think he gets – I think he had 8 touchdowns last season. Don't think he gets there this year, but a lock for 100 receptions.
Yeah, I agree. I think he fell just short of 1,000 yards last year too, but those touchdowns kind of made up for it. The next pick was Deandre Swift at the 305, and Jeff, we are back to you at the 306.
So I've got a decision to make here, guys. I'm debating. I'm looking at wide receiver since I've got running back and tight end as my first 2 picks. And wide receiver, if I can get a star wide receiver here, I've got 3 really good picks. And I'm contemplating between Terry McLaurin or CeeDee Lamb. And I think either one of them is probably going to go in the next couple picks. I want to say that CeeDee Lamb is a little bit lower than McLaurin right now in terms of maybe like ADP or perception, but I think Lamb is someone who could really turn things on this year. We saw what Dak Prescott was able to do before he got hurt. Hoping that he's going to be okay with his shoulder is a concern, but I think I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb here and hope that he has like this tremendous monster year here this year and overtake the number one receiver role on the Cowboys. So CeeDee Lamb is my pick.
Nice. And I saw you over there, Ralph, kind of slap your hands there.
It hurts me. It hurts me, man. That was my pick.
Yep.
He's got top 5 potential, man. We're looking at some of those pieces in Dallas with Cooper, and still that ankle doesn't seem right. And I mean, even if Dak comes back, man, CD is some amazing talent. So you gotta smoke and deal there.
Agree. So 307 went Josh Allen. Our second quarterback is off the board, and now you are up at the 308.
See, I'm and here's where I'm debating, because I know that this is where I got to take some sort of running back, and research bias has got me leaning toward Josh Jacobs, only because I feel like this is one of those situations where Kenyon Drake is not going to be the guy that eats into his production, because I think he can have production even with Kenyon Drake on the field. We saw that with Chase Edmonds as well. So, but J.K. Dobbins is in that, triple option offense over there in Baltimore. So I'm having trouble deciding between the two. And since this is a mock draft, I think I'm gonna buck research bias and go with J.K. Dobbins, because again, all Baltimore does is run the ball, and when you got the running back there, I think you're in good shape.
Yep, I agree with that one. I would have gone Dobbins there as well.
Yep.
Mike Evans at the 309. What was that?
I was having me fall.
Mike Evans at the 309, and now we are up to the 310, and we're back to you, Ralph.
I am going with Terry McLaurin. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a gunslinger. I think Terry has not had a true gunslinger quarterback. I think the stat was he had 4 or 5 different quarterbacks in his couple of years there in Washington. He's never had someone like Fitzpatrick, and we're about to see a good year from him. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I live here in Washington, and I hear all about it and how him and Fitzpatrick have linked up, and McLaurin is raving about him in practice, and I just think it's a beautiful combination. 311 goes Josh Jacobs. Foss, you are up at the 312.
I'm locking up my running back position. I'm going with the only guy who's going to we're guaranteed to see that 55 to 65% of the market share, and that's David Montgomery. He's a horse for them. That offense improved. Justin Fields, when he eventually gets in, is going to help him with the RPO, and the fear of a running quarterback always helps running back out. So I'm excited for him, and he's really the last running back I wanted. And I'm going to take Amari Cooper. He's locked in for 1,100-plus yards, 7 touchdowns, and that's being very low on it. So I'm comfortable with that pick.
Good stuff. Let me recap that third round. We had Jefferson go at the 301, Allen Robinson the 302, Mixon, Keenan Allen, and DeAndre Swift at the next 3. CeeDee Lamb, Josh Allen, the second quarterback taken, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Josh Jacobs, and Montgomery to end off that third round. We start off with Amari Cooper, Chris Carson. We are back up to you, Ralph. And so far, your team is Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, and Terry McLaurin. Where are you going here at the 403?
Man, I just got sniped from Team Robot 11. Chris Carson is a guaranteed RB2 machine, and to kind of get him as an RB3 in this is what I was going for. A lot of guys go for the 0 RB. I typically lean running back heavy, and with the news of Mr. Travis being out for the year, I've got to go James Robinson. He jumped up in my projections. Sleeper ADP has him a little bit lower. I don't think they've adjusted to Etienne being out, but to have those 3 running backs in a PPR, I am off to a good start, man.
Yeah, that's definitely a great pick there, and it sounds like you sniped Rod there, because right after that went Darrell Henderson, and Rod, you're up here. Let me recap your team.
Why was I disowned?
Yeah, that I don't know. Maybe because of Amari Cooper. I'm not really sure. I know he's a Raiders fan, so I'm not really sure where that comment came through. But Gerst, if you could explain that pick there in the chat. So, Rod, your team so far: Davante Adams, AJ Brown, J.K. Dobbins. You just got sniped. Where are you going here with the 405?
God, man. Well, so that just threw me into a loop. I was gonna grab Robinson. I was sitting there. I knew Robo guy wasn't gonna grab him because he was probably gonna grab somebody else. But here I am reaching for somebody now. All right, look. So here's what I'm gonna do. There's two receivers here that I'm looking at. I'm gonna go back to receiver because I got sniped on running back, and I don't want anybody that's there. So I'm fudging between Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. And I'm going to end up going Robert Woods because he's the guy that actually does get the most out of that pairing. Everybody loves Cooper Kupp, but Robert Woods secretly is the guy that is actually being the more productive receiver in that receiving core. And look, I'm willing to gamble that Stafford's going to get him the ball. So we'll see how that works out. And, thankfully this is a mock team, so we don't got to play.
Yeah, we'll never know. All right, good stuff. So you got 3 receivers there in the first 4 rounds and 1 running back. So the Robo team takes Miles Sanders. Jeff, we're back to you to recap your team so far. You got Jonathan Taylor, Darren Waller, and CeeDee Lamb, 3 top guys at their position. Where are you going here with the 407?
Well, I'm either looking at another running back or another receiver, and I think I am going to target running back here. The question though is who? I'm looking at Kareem Hunt. I really am. I like Kareem Hunt a lot. Here's a guy who has 39 touchdowns in 51 games. That's impressive. That's not bad. For PPR, he gets points. You can't. The only thing I'm concerned about is it might be a little bit too early for him. But I would rather take a running back here than wait around and then figure out who my running backs are. So I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. And shoot, my gosh, if something happens to Chubb, that guy is a league winner. So I'm going with Hunt.
I like it there because Hunt and Chubb last year were a deadly 1-2 combination, and if either one of them were to go down, the other one becomes an immediate top RB. But they were both in the top 12 last year, so great pick there. Kyler Murray goes at the 408 as the 3rd quarterback off the board, and we're at the 409. Back to you, Eric.
So I'm looking at a couple of receivers here, and I would love to shore up running back, but I think sometimes when the board falls to you and lets value drop like this, that you have to kind of forego your tendencies, if you will. So I'm going to take Chris Godwin, someone who was the most targeted wide receiver in the playoffs by Tom Brady. He was something like wide receiver 12 the week after he got back from his broken finger. Unfortunately, I don't have what week that was off the top of my head. But I'm going to take Chris Godwin there and I'm going to grab that slot receiver for Bruce Arians' offense.
All right, good stuff. And while we're waiting for Kyle to make his picks, I want to recap your team, Eric. You have Alvin Kamara, and then you went receiver with DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, and Chris Godwin. That's a pretty solid stack of receivers right there. Right after you went Jamar Chase. TJ Hawkinson is who Kyle decided to take at the 411. At the turn, Julio Jones, Cooper Kupp. And then Kyle takes DJ Moore at the 502. Lamar Jackson off the board. So our 4th quarterback off the board. And we're back to you, Eric. So, again, you got 3 receivers and 1 running back. What are you doing here with the 504?
We have to take a running back here. I think that if I don't hear, I have such a long wait on the way back that it's just going to be we're already kind of in the dregs of running back at this point, but there is one starting running back out there that I kind of like, I suppose, but he's attached to a really good defense in Miami. There's no competition for him. It's Myles Gaskin. I haven't taken him in any mocks, in any drafts, or any startups that I've done this season. So heck, this is a mock draft. Let's see what the hell happens.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good in preseason too. I know we all want to bash Myles Gaskins. We've been doing it for like over a year now, but the guy just keeps producing. So at some point we got to give him some respect, and he's looked good in preseason so far. So,
and in the 5th round, I don't mind that whatsoever.
100% agree as your RB2. Javonte Williams went at the 505. Jeff, we're back to you. You took Kareem Hunt in the last round there. What you doing here at the 506?
Well, I'm kind of glad I took Kareem Hunt in the last round because I was potentially targeting either him or Javon Williams in this pick here, but now they're gone. So I'm looking at wide receiver, and the receivers that I'm looking at here include Deontay Johnson and Brandon Nyuk. Those are the 2 that I want. I'd take them both, but I can't. So I am going to go with Brandon Nyuk. I think that he is on the verge. And what did he have? either 100 yards or a touchdown in 9 of his last 11 games, I believe it is. If we're looking at the stats, that's impressive. And if Trey Lance continues to, perform and do well, it's just going to help the offense. But granted, a lot of that was without Kittle last year, but that's still very impressive. And Ayuk is someone that I haven't really had a chance to draft in many drafts, so I'm taking him here.
Who invited this guy? Who? First CD Lamb and then Ayuk. Man, you've got some good taste, my friend. You've got very good taste.
Thanks.
All right, the 507 goes Kyle Pitts, and Rod, we are back to you. You got 3 good receivers, and J.K. Dobbins. Where are you going here at the 508?
I love that. You got 3 good receivers and J.K. Dobbins. I gotta go back to running back and listen. Free Chase Edmonds, shall we? I mean, the guy now is Kenyon Drake free. Hopefully that Arizona offense runs through him. I know Kyler Murray is going to eat into his overall, I think, upside, but at running back 2, Chase Edmonds, I think, offers enough value here to where I'm not going to cry too much about having him as my second running back in this mock draft.
Yeah, and he should be, it should be a good offense. He's a pass catching running back. As long as he can stay healthy on the field, I think he will definitely be an RB2 in that RB2 range. So great value there at the 508. Adam Thielen goes at the 509, and Ralph, you got sniped in this round already. Where are you going here at the 510?
So just pivoting to another 2 wide receivers that I'm looking at. The first one is Deontay Johnson, volume machine, especially in the PPR format. The one thing that concerns me is even in the preseason, Big Ben's arm still looks like he's playing out there with half an arm. He cannot sling that ball, and that concerns me a little bit. The other guy that I'm looking at is T. Higgins. We saw Burrow average 40 attempts last year per game. Jamar Chase has had a little bit of difficulty, and it could be just knocking off some rust. I do think he'll kind of come into his name. But looking at these 2 guys, they didn't really address the O-line too much in Cincinnati, which leads me to believe that they will be throwing the ball just as much as last year. Man, I'm stuck between these 2 guys.
Stay out of my queue, man. Come on.
I'm gonna go with Deontay. I think the volume is there, and even if Big Ben's arm is shot, he runs those slants pretty often. So I'll go Deontay.
All right, I like it there at the 510. And then at the 511 goes Mark Andrews. Ryan, you're at the 512 here. And let me recap your team. Kelsey, Najee Harris, David Montgomery, Amari Cooper. Where are you going here at the 512?
I feel pretty safe with my picks. Like, as we see, average Amari said in the chat. But, I feel safe that we're going to have I'm going to take some chances on some guys. And I was holding my breath the whole time while Lobo was picking. But I love the idea of T. Higgins there. Like he said, they're going to be leading up in the top of the league in pass attempts. And whether or not the Jamar Chase struggling or anything is true, that door's open for him to be their wide receiver 1 this year.
Yep.
And a guy who's going to get high volume on a team that's probably going to lead the team in passing attempts. Plus, he is a great red zone threat. It's the trifecta. I'm all in on a young player like that. And I'm going to go with a super volatile pick here just because I feel safe with my floor. And I'm going to take Tyler Locket to give me those boom-bust weeks where I know he can have a 30 or 40-point weight or blow-up week and then shit the bed, but I'm not upset with it because I have good base.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those players. I think there was I think it was a Sunday night or Monday night game where he had like 45 points. Yeah. And basically everybody that didn't have him was pissed off because they lost their game, and everybody that had him was so excited that they won their game.
You have to be comfortable to take a chance on a guy like that, with the rest of your roster. If I had young guys and more volatile players, I probably would have taken them there. That's what I went with Deontay, like he was talking about.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. All right, Michael Thomas goes at the 602, and Ralph, we're back to you with the 603. Your team so far is Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, and James Robinson as your running backs, and you got Terry McLaurin and Deontay Johnson as your receivers. Where are you going here at the 603?
So with Higgins off the board, this next pick is a no-brainer for me. This guy's got, in my opinion, top 20 potential now that Teddy is the quarterback. Absolutely going Jerry. Jerry Jeudy, Mr. Jeudy himself, man. He's looked phenomenal this preseason. A lot of good reports coming in this year, and I think he's going to have a monster year. So to have those three guys as my wide receivers, PPR machines, I'm feeling really good about that.
That's a good pick there. So you're a Jeudy over Sutton guy?
I am a Jeudy over Sutton guy. Absolutely.
Good stuff. All right, Dak Prescott goes at the 604. We're up at the 605, Rod. So far, your team is Adams, A.J. Brown, Robert Woods as your receivers, J.K. Dobbins, and Chase Edmonds as your running backs. 605, who you got?
Going back to running back, and I'm a homer. The Niners run through my blood, so be concerned about Raheem Mostert's health. Be concerned about a lot of different things. Trey Sermon maybe, but don't be concerned that the fact that he will produce when he's out there. And again, if I'm taking a third running back here, I'm okay with Raheem Mostert because his potential is just, I think, through the roof if he can stay healthy. So plus, I love watching him run. So I know Trey, but come on now, he didn't look very good so far this season. This preseason. All right.
You definitely have more faith than me as a Niners fan as well. I don't know if I would have gone Mostert there, but I appreciate that, and I hope you're right because I like Mostert as well. I think his story is great. I think he's been awesome when he's been healthy, and if he can stay healthy, he'll be awesome for this team that you have built. So I like the confidence there. Odell Beckham goes at the 606. Jeff, we're back to you. Your team is CeeDee Lamb and Ayuk as your receivers, Kareem Hunt and Jonathan Taylor your running backs. You have locked down one of the top two tight ends in Darren Waller. Where are you going here with the 607?
I could go running back or I could go wide receiver here. I'm not yet at the quarterback threshold point yet. I'm leaning. I'm just going to tell you who I'm taking, and then I'll talk to you about him. I'm going to take Chase Claypool. I like the fact that he had double-digit touchdowns last year. The Steelers' offense is going to be, we talk about Ben Roethlisberger and his arm, but that offense is I think it's going to do pretty well. And Claypool is someone who shows up in the red zone, and we like that. We like scorers. Scorers are people who can finish high on their weekly fantasy rankings. So I'm going to take Chase Claypool here, and I'm going to try to figure out who I'm going to take next.
I like the Claypool pick there as well because they did find ways to give him the ball last year. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns last year as well. So
yeah,
I think he will find creative ways to
the
get
4
him the
touchdown game. I think right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
He had like a 1 yard plunge, something like that.
Yep, absolutely right. Yep. All right, Davonte Smith goes at the 608. Eric, we're up to you. Let's recap your team here. You went Kamara in the first round, and then 3 straight receivers with DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, and Chris Godwin. Miles Gaskins was your last pick here. Where are you going with the 609?
I'm going to go ahead and continue the trend of taking a Jag running back. I mean, he's a starter for what projects to be an awesome offense in the Atlanta Falcons. There's nothing special about Mike Davis, but damn, he's going to get every single carry and pretty much all the targets. So the Javion Hawkins experience is over. I heard a lot of rumble about that on Twitter, but I'm taking Mike Davis. Let's go.
Yeah, I like it. I was one of those Javion Hawkins rumblers. I was all over him. I drafted him in the 3rd round of most of my rookie drafts, and he got the cut today on most of my leagues because, yeah, he didn't make the team. Kenny Galladay goes at the 610. Kyle takes Aaron Rodgers at the 611. He's a Packers fan. A little bit of a caveat there. He likes his Packers. Justin Herbert at the 612. Juju Smith-Schuster at the 701. So basically, all the receivers for the Steelers are now gone off the board there in those last couple of rounds. We're waiting on Kyle's pick at 702. So far, his team is Dalvin Cook. He's got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Allen Robinson, TJ Hawkinson, DJ Moore. Of course, he's got Aaron Rodgers, and he just took Robbie Anderson, who just signed a big, huge contract, I think today or yesterday. D.A. Shark goes at the 703, and Eric, we are back to you with the 704.
I have been singing this dude's praises literally the entire offseason. He is the only person of relevance to catch the ball in Houston. I don't really give a damn who his quarterback is, to be quite honest with you, because he's going to see pretty much 10 targets a game. And if you notice, I'm a volume guy over talent for the most part. Let me get Brandon Cooks.
I like it. I like it. Brandon Cooks is one of those guys that we overlook pretty much every year. It's just he just finds a way to, as long as he can stay healthy. That's always the caveat with him. If he can stay healthy, he produces. Leonard Fournette goes at the 705. Jeff, we're back to you with the 706. You took Claypool in the last round here. What you doing in the 706 here?
I need to get some running back depth, and there is a running back down the board that I still like. He plays for a super offensive team. He had 70 yards total or a touchdown in 11 of his 14 games last year. You guys know who it is?
No, I don't.
Joe?
I mean, I know it's not
Ronald
Melvin
Jones,
Gordon.
guys. Ronald
Yes,
Jones.
Ronald Jones. Yes, sir.
Ronald Jones is my
Nice.
pick. Yeah, so he'll be my running back 3, and if he has to start ahead of Kareem Hunt, then he can. But yeah, Jones has just been someone who's been consistent, and he scores touchdowns and he gets yards. So I like that. He can make him my team.
Good stuff. Yeah, Fournette and Jones go back to back there. Two Tampa Bay running backs there. Melvin Gordon goes at the 707, and Rod, we're back to you. You took Mostert, surprisingly, at the 605 last round. You're at the 708. What you got here?
I like to shake it up. I'm mad because Cooks just came off the queue, so that was a snipe there. Ronald Jones, another one too. I like that one. He's a guy that I like that he falls as late as he does, but unfortunately, I'm in a room full of experts, so that doesn't happen very often. So, give me back-to-back Niners because hello, I know Ayuk gets all the glory, but Deebo Samuel, man, that guy is just a gem. And if I'm gonna have a wide receiver 1 this late in the game, Deebo, he's explosive, and I'm okay having him stashed on the bench for a couple of weeks if need be, but he's going to end up starting quite a few teams and quite a few leagues. So, give me Deebo all day.
Yeah, as your wide receiver 4, that's a pretty good pick there. And as long as he can stay healthy, I know we had that scare with his hamstring or whatever, quad or whatever it was, but he ended up playing in that preseason game, so he was okay. But yeah, as long as he stays healthy, he's a beast. We got Dallas Goddard going at the 709. We're up at the 710, and we're to you, Ralph. You took Jerry Jeudy in the last round. Where are you going here at the 710?
So I looked at this board and I told myself, if I saw Russell Wilson drop it any further than the 7th, I would take him. In that offense, we did see a stump from week 10 on last year, which I think part of that was Chris Carson going down a little bit. And I think just their offense lost that rhythm. Defenses started to figure out what DK was doing, and he wasn't killing defenses with that deep threat. But I think they'll adjust this year, and I'm happily taking Russell Wilson there.
Yeah, I forget where I heard it at. I heard it on some podcast that Russell Wilson is like the most hit quarterback over the last 6 years.
That was me who brought that stat on.
Oh, that's right. It was you. It was your podcast, your other podcast that you listened. Yeah, I forget what the number was, Ryan. I don't know if you remember it or not, but it was like so much more than the second place player.
His first season, he was 16th for most hit quarterbacks, and then after that, I think the worst was 6th. He's hit 1 twice. The last 2 years, he's been second most hit, or he's been most hit last 2 years. Second most before that. He's just got the crap beat out of him, missed 0 games.
Yeah, and I know famously, I remember the draft they took Rashad Penny. They drafted an offensive lineman so late in that draft. They drafted either a punter or a kicker before they got their first offensive lineman in that draft, which is just a slap in the face for Russell Wilson. Like, yeah, we don't care about protecting you. We're just going to let you just do your thing. All right, so we take the 710, Russell Wilson. At the 711 goes Jalen Waddle, and Ryan, we're up to you at the 712.
With Sonny Michel leaving, I really like that for Damien Harris. It's literally just he's not going to have to skip time with Sonny Michel as bad as he is. When we're really going to see Stevenson in those pounded out situations. So I like Harris because he can catch a little bit too and be on the field all 3 downs. I think it's a vote of confidence for him, and I'm going to buy into that. And based off of other news this week with Etienne going down, obviously James Robinson is going to be a big benefactor, but I think Laviska Shenault's going to take a lot of that short passing game that he got where they're kind of just dumping off or using the pass as an extended run. So I think he got a nice boost this week too.
I like it. I like Shenault a lot. Sutton goes at the 802. We're up at the 803, and we're back to you, Ralph.
Yes, Shenault was my pick here. So now I'm having to scramble through this board real quick and see where we're going. I think with that, I'm gonna go with the rookie. I think this offense this year. I just tweeted yesterday that they're going to be fun to watch. I think there's a lot of moving pieces with them. I personally love Robert, Mr. Saleh over there with the Jets. I am going to go Michael Carter. He's looked good in the preseason. He's looked really good. And I think last game averaged 10 yards a carry. I think he had 5 carries for 50 yards, if I'm not mistaken. So he's looked really good. And in a PPR format, I'll take him as my RB4.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great pick there. Great value there at the 803, especially if he wins that number 1 job there with the Jets, which looks like I assume that he probably will. Trey Sermon goes at the 804, and we're back up with Rod. I don't know if we have audio, Rod. I know we don't have video. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I think my camera decided it was too tired and too hot. So
yeah, we can still hear you.
Okay. So look, this is the point where I still feel like it's too early to take a quarterback, but I'm going to do it because I got some smart guys in the room. And if I don't grab Ryan Tannehill now, I don't think he's going to come back to me around. I love Tannehill. I love this Tennessee offense. As you can tell, and to pair him with AJ Brown as a weekly stack, I guess, in a redraft, I'm okay with that. And I love Tannehill because the guy can just ball. And so I love him in every draft that I can find him in. And like I said, I think he's not going to make it back around to me because there's a lot of quarterback needy teams at this point. So
let me ask you real quick on that strategy with the stacking. How do you stand on stacking? Like if it was Tannehill and another quarterback that was sort of neck and neck here, are you taking Tannehill based on the fact you can stack him, or is it just best quarterback available at that point?
No, I think it's best quarterback available at that point. In redraft, I don't see the necessity to stack in redraft. DFS is its own animal, but in redraft, obviously you're just trying to put the best players out there. And if one can go off and the other can go off, then that's all fine and well. But I think more often than not, stacking can hurt if especially one player does not go, like the quarterback especially doesn't go off, because then now you're down a receiver. So. In this case, though, you've got Tannehill and AJ Brown. I think the weeks where one or both were bust are very few and far between. So I think you're safe having both of them on the same team.
Yeah, agree. I think I'm the same way. I think I'm not going to force it. If the quarterback's there, I'm going to take it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get my stack if I don't have to. So I agree 100% there. Jarvis Landry at the 806. Jeff, we're back to you at the 807. Let me recap your team really quick. You have Jonathan Taylor, Kareem Hunt, and Rojo as your running backs. Brandon at receiver, and I think it was Rod. I had to turn him off. I don't know what was going on.
Was somebody sending a fax?
Man, I thought the beat was about to drop, dude.
No, that's what I was thinking.
It sounded like dial-up internet or something.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
We got Steve Aoki about to bust through this podcast.
All right, Jeff, you were up at the 807. Where are you going here?
Yeah, so I stayed away from quarterback for a while. I got through 7 rounds. Now I'm in round 8. The trigger for my guy is Ryan Tannehill. And I'm going to go ahead and take the immortal Tom Brady. I mean, shoot, all he does is pass for 4,000 yards, something like that, and 30 touchdowns every year. He's got a real strong offense, of course. He's got the opportunities to cash in, with his receivers and just the offense in general. Everyone's back. Offensive line is strong. And last year he said that he didn't quite understand the offense. The guy goes to 50% of the Super Bowls in the years that he's been in the league, which is just insane. I'm going to go with Tom Brady here as my weekly quarterback.
I like it. He's a great redraft pick. I lost a bet to Ryan last year on Tom Brady. I said Tom Brady was not a top 12 quarterback last year, and he ended up being, I think he was top 10, maybe even top 7 last year. So I lost.
It was a real bad bet on your head.
All right, Noah Fant goes next at the 808. Eric, we're back to you at the 809.
Ryan Tannehill and Tom Brady. Either one of those are like my auto picks in the 8th round. I hate you both for doing that to me, but that's fine. No, I'm just playing. It was great picks, obviously. So I'm going to keep stacking up wide receiver and running back depth. I think it's incredibly important to do that, especially this year, being that it's a 17-game season. I think the coaches are actually going to come up with a little bit more of they're going to have a little more restraint on their players. He's okay, but I think he's a starter for a really, really great offense. It's Zach Moss. He's looked pretty. Actually, I'm so sorry. I screwed that up. It's going to be Corey Davis, actually. Zach Moss is in my head first. But it's going to be Corey Davis. He's been great this preseason. He's the number 1 target on a team that's going to throw the ball a bajillion times. And Zach Wilson has looked pretty good, too. So, yeah, Zach Moss maybe come back around in round 9.
All right. I can see how you get Corey Davis and Zach Moss mixed up.
They both are really Jags, you know what I mean?
All right. Corey Davis goes James Conner at the 8-10. Senra, Mr. Kyle, goes ahead and snipe you and takes Zach Moss there at the 8-11.
I can hear him cackling now.
Yes. Rob Gronkowski goes at the 8-12. Kenyon Drake at the 9-01. Tyler Boyd, 9-02. Will Fuller at the 9-03. And we're back to you, Eric. Your Zach Moss pick is off the board.
Damn you, Kyle. Damn you. No, it's cool, man. It's fine. I'm not bitter at all. No, I'm going to go ahead and take tight end here. We got Mike Gesicki, Robert Tonyan, who I think is terrible, and then Logan Thomas. Saw 110 targets last season. He's not going to see that again by any means, but he was really good last season. He just got paid this offseason as well, so I'll take Logan Thomas to short my tight end position.
All right, I like it there. Logan Thomas, all the way in the 9th round, is a great pick there. Antonio Brown at the 905. Jeff, you took your quarterback in the last round here. Where are you going with the 906?
I got a decision to make. I either take the guy that I think could potentially win a league, or I go with a guy who could potentially maybe even win a league. Without like spilling the beans. I think I'm going to go with Marquez Callaway. I like the fact that he showed us what he could do last year. If we look back at week 7 last year, he had 8 catches on 10 targets. This is when Mike Thomas was out. He looked strong. He did a lot of short and intermediate ranged catches. And he looked great. And he sprained his ankle in that game, and we didn't really see him for the rest of the year until like week 15 and 16, which he played well again. But the fact that he sprained his ankle then, after a strong game, it's kind of that was the opportunity for people to see what he could do, and he wasn't able to do that. So his identity was kind of hidden. And then we've seen what he's been able to do in the preseason. I just think that Callaway can be a possession receiver for the Saints. We know that they have a strong offense. We know that Sean Payton is going to throw the ball. And it sounds like Jameis Winston's going to be the quarterback. And I just like him in the offense. And I think that he could lead the team in receptions this year, outside of Kamara, perhaps we'll say. But I really like Callaway as someone who could be a sleeper this year.
Yeah, I love Callaway. I thought I was capitalizing on the hype before he had this last big game, and I sold him for a 3rd round pick, thinking, okay, he's not going to be that good. And then I saw him in his last game where he caught that crazy touchdown, and I'm like, I probably could have got more if I would have just waited a little bit longer. But yeah, Callaway looks like the real deal. I like that pick there. Trevor Lawrence went at the 907, and we were at the 908, and we're back to you, Rod, fresh off his DJ gig that he just came from there. Rod, who you got at the 908? Oh, do we not have audio for Rod?
Doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't sound like we got audio for Rod. All right. So he went with Irv Smith, who's my boy. I love him at tight end. I do.
That's a good pick.
Fit into the top 12 there in tight ends. I think Kirk Cousins is going to turn him into his Jordan Reed / Vernon Davis this year. So I do think Irv Smith's a great pick. Matthew Stafford goes next. We are up to you, Ralph. Your last pick was Michael Carter. Who are you going with here at the 9-10?
It's between Michael Gallup and Darnell Mooney. if we're talking about volume, I anticipate that they'll get about the same. Darnell Mooney being the wide receiver 2 in Chicago, Michael Gallup being the wide receiver 3. But I think this is a year that Dallas has 3 receivers with 100 targets. I'm going with Gallup. So he works great in that slot. He's been doing more slot work with Lamb on the outside, and I think I actually went to the game to the Arizona and Cowboys game, and he lined up in the slot in all 3 drives that he was playing in. So I'm excited to see him there.
All right, yeah, I like that pick there. That's a great value there in the 9th. That's your wide receiver 4, so great value. Rod, we got you back in video, hopefully, and in audio. If you want to talk about Irv Smith really quick, I kind of gave a brief little synopsis on him, but go ahead and talk about your last pick there.
Yeah, I think I got punished for my little DJ maneuver by Logan Thomas being taken off the board before I got a chance to grab him. But, I swung around with Irv Smith. I'm okay with taking a chance on him. He's got no Kyle Rudolph there to hold him down anymore, and he's pretty good. I mean, I love watching him. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of upside. So I hate that word, but he does. And I think this is the year that he's going to prove it. And I feel like if I'm waiting this long for a tight end and Logan Thomas comes off the board, I'll take Irv Smith.
I like it. All right, so Ralph took Gallup. Mike Gesicki came off the board. The 9-11. Ryan, you at the turn here. You get the 9-12.
So here at the term, we've seen a lot of good receivers go and still be a lot left. But this guy, I don't know how he keeps sliding. That's Mike Williams. He has 10 touchdown upside. We saw him with 750 yards and 85 targets in just 11 games started last year. He was a part of that offense, and Herbert really kind of gravitated towards him. That touchdown upside and what else he could do just coming into his prime with a QB who fits what he does well could be really big for fantasy. I like him for a value there. And the other person I'm going to take is Jalen Hurts. I want a Konami code quarterback this late if I can have him. And if there's another quarterback who can get around that 700 to 900 yards rushing range left in the draft, it's him. And they may let him try.
Yeah, I like both those picks there. Williams being your wide receiver 5 is a great upside pick there in that offense that we all expect to be a pretty good offense this year. And Hurts is one of those guys that you love him or you hate him. I think people are down on him. I think in fantasy we all like him because we get that rushing upside. But the question is how long will he be the quarterback there? But in a redraft league, I'm all for it. Joe Burrow at the 10:02, and we are back to you, Ralph, at the 10:03. Let me recap your team really quick here. Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, James Robinson, Michael Carter are your running backs. Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Gallup. You got Russell Wilson as your quarterback. Where are you going here at the 10:03?
Based on Sleeper's ADP, this is considered a reach. I personally don't think this is a reach at all. Jonnu Smith is a monster. And Bill Belichick offenses, actually, I tweeted about this a few weeks ago, is he's averaged about 160 targets to the tight end every single year, except for last year. Obviously, Brady leaves, so they're having to adjust in that situation. But I truly think that Jonnu is going to thrive there. And, I mean, we've seen him, really take over. Hunter Henry's been hurt. And it's going to open it up for Jonnu. So I love Jonnu in round 10.
Yep, I love it too. I love it's a great value there with the tight end in the 10th round. He definitely has a major upside there.
Yeah.
Robert Tonyan comes off next with the 10:04. Rod, we're up to you with the 10:05 here. Where are you going?
I'm going to go ahead and lock up that Baltimore backfield. I mean, what better backfield to have all of is the one that's going to run the ball every single down. Like I said, the triple option over there in Baltimore. So give me the Gus Bus. I was debating between either him or even Devin Singletary out of Buffalo, but I feel like Gus has got the bigger lock, and especially if J.K. Dobbins does go down, then it's all Gus Edwards. And I don't normally handcuff very often, but this is one situation in one backfield where I think it's not even a handcuffed. It's basically you could start one guy in the flex and one guy in your RB, one of your RB positions. So every week you're going to get production out of both of them. So don't pick out which one's going to do it. Just start them both and enjoy whatever happens.
There you go. Yeah, they're going to run the ball enough that they both can be viable. I agree 100%. David Johnson comes off at the 10:06. Jeff, we're back to you. Let me recap your team really quick. Jonathan Taylor, Kareem Hunt, and Rojo are your running backs. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Chase Claypool, and Marquez Callaway are your receivers. And Darren Waller at your tight end with Tom Brady as your quarterback. Where are you going here at the 10:07?
So I'm going to go back to running back and add a death pick. And this is someone who has been categorized as the 1B to the 1A, and 1A being Deandre Swift. And he's dealing with a groin injury right now and might not even play week 1. And you never know with groin injuries. That could turn into something more. You could have a re-injure situation. So I'm going to take Jamal Williams, who I really like with Green Bay last year. I like the fact that now he's on his own team here with Detroit. His coach knows him pretty well. I think that he has potential to do something. So I'm going to go with Jamal Williams as, what is that, my running back 4. So at this point, it's just kind of a hope and pray type of pick. But I tried to throw some positivity in there with it.
Yeah, I like that pick there. And Jamal Williams, the way he got playing time in Green Bay, he's a great pass blocker as well. So he'll be in there when Detroit's trailing by 15 points in the fourth quarter. He'll be the one in there pass blocking as well. So he gets those catches out of the backfield. So I like that pick. Tyler Higbee comes off at the 10:08. Eric, we're back to you with the 10:09. Recap your team really quick. Your running backs are Kamara, Gaskins, Mike Davis. Then you got a plethora of receivers in DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, and Corey Davis, not Zach Moss, and Logan Thomas as your tight end. Where are you going here with the 10:09?
So I think I have to go quarterback here because, I guess I don't really have to, but I'm worried about team 3 there. These AIs seem to want to take 2 quarterbacks for some odd reason. I'm going to go Baker Mayfield. Weeks 11 to 16, his 16-game pace after the monsoon games and the hurricane games or whatever, he had a 16-game pace of 4,500 passing yards. He had 11-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He was really good. Obviously, this team wants to run. They're going to run the hell out of the ball. They got a great defense, but if he could play conservative football, I think he can have a very efficient Russell Wilson type year minus the rushing.
I like it. I like it there in the 10th round as your QB1. I like Baker Mayfield a lot. And like you mentioned, those monsoon games did affect his overall stats in general. So agreed 100%. AJ Dillon at the 10-10, Curtis Samuel at the 10-11. At the turn goes Michael Pittman Jr., who I love. Singletary goes at the 11:01. Naeem Hines and Hollywood Brown goes next. And Eric, we are back to you at the 11:04.
I am going to go with a player who there's so many players in this backfield right now. 2 of them are extremely old and pretty much used up in David Johnson and Mark Ingram. I'm going to go ahead and go with Phillip Lindsay. I think he's already a 1,000-yard rusher in his career. His first season away from Denver. I know this is narrative street, but I think he has something to prove. So I'm going to go ahead and draft him as a depth piece. He's my 4th wide running back. If he doesn't work out, cool. We'll cut him. We'll find somebody off of waivers. No problem.
Yeah, and I've heard the beat reporters saying that he's the RB1 there. David Johnson's now a 3rd down back. Mark Ingram's probably their goal line back, their big back, and Phil Lindsay could have another good season there. So I like that pick there as your 4th RB. Darnell Mooney comes off next at the 11:05. Jeff, you're at the 11:06 here. What you got?
So I already have Tom Brady as my star quarterback, the immortal Tom Brady. I'm going to go with a potential league winner here, a dual threat quarterback who has the opportunity to be a top 5 type of fantasy player every week when he finally gets to start. And in my opinion, that's Trey Lance. So I'm going to take Trey Lance. He might not play at first. Yeah, I think we will see him this year. And when he does, he's got the potential to be a league winner. If something happens to Brady and I have Lance, that's a possibility. He's also a trade piece here. If we were looking at drafts, not this draft, but for other people watching along. So yeah, if you can get Lance and have a concrete quarterback like a Brady or Tannehill, Rodgers, Wilson, Prescott, Lance is a nice piece to add to that you can just kind of keep in your bench. And if he turns into a star, you've got him.
I like it. I've been saying all off season that he'll be the week 1 starter. And then I had Stefania Bell on a few weeks ago, and she's a Niners fan, and obviously he's tapped into the NFL, and she basically poo-pooed that and said, no, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. he's starting. But I'm like, okay, so Lance will start week 2 then. We'll give him week 2. But yeah, I like that. I like Lance a lot there as a great value. Elijah Moore, the rookie, comes off next at the 11:07. Rod, we're up to you at the 11:08.
Yeah, it's so fun to have Stefania Bell in our corner, right? As Niners fans, it's
Right.
always a blast to listen to her. Look, I know he just got hurt. I know he's injured a little bit, but T.Y. Hilton, I mean, if we're going and we're throwing darts in these last few rounds, I'm going to take a chance on a guy like T.Y. Hilton, who is going to probably end up being, if he can stay healthy, obviously that same wide receiver 1 type mentality that he always has been in Indianapolis. I know a lot of people, he's not a sexy name. I mean, not anymore, but he's one of those guys where he's going to probably win you a couple of weeks here and there. And so having the number 1 receiver in Indy, even if Carson Wentz, whatever, I'm still not sold, but T.Y. Hilton's T.Y. Hilton, right? And if you're going to get him this late in the draft, you might as well take a chance on him.
Yeah, I agree 100% there. I think we've seen it a lot of times too. These veteran receivers, they have that injury-prone season. We give up on them, and then they come back and they have another good season, and we're all surprised by it. And if T.Y. Hilton had a good season this year, I would not be surprised at all. And I think that's a great pick there at the 11:08. Henry Ruggs at the 11:09, and Ralph, we're up to you at the 11:10.
My pick here is a rookie who was looking phenomenal in camp. Potential to be the wide receiver 1 in Baltimore. I don't mind that he'll miss a week or 2 in the beginning of the season, but he was my wide receiver 3 coming out of college. I think Bateman in that offense, I mean, give me all that. Having him as my wide receiver 5, I'm excited to see what that offense looks like this year with that. I mean, that different O-line and that wide receiver room that, even though they're all apparently hurt right now, for Lamar, I'm big on Bateman this year, so I don't mind taking that chance with him in round 11.
Yeah, I love Bateman, and Ryan knows this as well. He's a Ravens fan, but I love Bateman. I've actually drafted Bateman over Davonte Smith and Jalen Waddle in a few different drafts that I've had, so I'm really, really high on Bateman as well. McCole Hardman at the 11:11. Ryan, we're up to you at the 11:12 and the 12:01.
I'm going completely off character here. I'm going super boomer bust and upside, plus staying at quarterback back to back. I'm taking Deshaun Watson. If he does play, he's a top 5 quarterback. If he doesn't, I kind of prefer somebody later on. But I'm willing to take that chance right now for somebody I can either start or replace in 2 weeks.
I like that. He'll be your first waiver drop if he doesn't, if he does get a suspension or whatever. You just pick up the first waiver guy off the waiver wire. So I like that.
Then I want to take Tony Pollard. I hate going 2 Dallas guys here, but he's a high-end handcuff backup who gives you pass catching potential during the season. So he still has some value outside of just being the backup Zeke.
Nice, I like it. Marvin Jones goes next at the 12:02. The 12:03. Ralph, we are back to you. Let me recap your team. Elliott, Eckler, Robinson, Carter are your running backs. McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, Gallup, and Bateman you just took. You got Jonnu at your tight end and Russell Wilson as your quarterback. Where are you going here at the 12:03?
Very similar to Jeff in taking Trey Lance. I'm taking Justin Fields in my QB2. Don't need him to start week 1. I mean, hell, might not need him for most of my weeks, but that upside with him in Chicago, I love it. I loved Fields coming out of college. He was actually my QB1. I had him ranked above Trevor Lawrence. And I think, yeah. And I got a lot of shit for it too. But, I think Justin Fields is going to be a player. And obviously to have him as my QB1, I don't recommend that in redraft at all. But in Dynasty, obviously different value. But I'll take a shot in the 12th round. Why not?
I like it. Devontae Parker at the 12:04. Rod, we're up to you at the 12:05. You took T.Y. Hilton in your last round there. Who are you going with at the 12:05?
I think once again, I'm going to go with somebody who has standalone flex value, and that's Latavius Murray. I think every week we get enamored by Kamara and what he can do, but right behind him is Latavius, and he turns in double-digit fantasy weeks quite often. If you go back through his records, and again, he's not going to be the sexy RB1, RB2, but you can throw him in the flex, and you can get a few good weeks out of him. And I think if you're tooling around here in the 12th round, and you're going to throw darts at a guy, get a guy that's going to get compliment and it's going to get work. I mean, Kamara can't run every single down. We've seen that in the past. And when Murray steps in, he does good things himself. So I'm not scared by Latavius Murray, especially here in the last few picks of this draft.
I like it. And I think, I forget who it was in our podcast just recently called these kind of guys the super handcuff, the guy that is not only a handcuff, but he can also be a standalone starter too if you need him in a bye week kind of thing where he's valuable no matter what. So, yeah, great pick there. Hunter Henry at the 1206, and Jeff, you're at the 1207.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a wide receiver who's showed really well in camp so far. He's a rookie. He's a touchdown scorer. He has 6 catches for 138 yards in minimal opportunities because he's not playing every minute of the preseason. And that's Terrace Marshall. Really like what he did at LSU with Joe Burrow, without Joe Burrow, 23 touchdowns in 19 games. He's a touchdown scorer. He can play the slot. He's a big slot, 6'2", 210. He's fast. He can make contested catches. He's going to occupy that Curtis Samuel role on Carolina's offense, their shallow cross offense that gets a lot of speed use. So I can see Terrace Marshall being someone who could potentially have upwards of 6 or 8 touchdowns and lead the team in terms of receiving touchdowns as a possibility, because we know that DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson kind of struggle in that area. And Carolina was 28th in the NFL in red zone touchdown conversion percentage. Not that great. So they went out and they got a tight end, and they got Terrace Marshall. And I think he's going to be a big part of that offense. And I'm excited to have him. I have him in a lot of teams. I am a Carolina homer. So Terrace Marshall's my pick.
All right. Yeah, I love that pick there. And I was going to point out, you have a Carolina Panthers podcast, do you not, Jeff?
I do, yes. The Carolina Fandom. You can see it in my hat here. I don't know if you can read that, but yes, absolutely. It's all about the fans of Carolina sports, and we kind of focus on the Panthers, but also the Hornets and Charlotte's soccer team that's going to be starting in 2022, Charlotte FC. So it's all about the fans and kind of building that fan base one person at a time.
Good. All right. Kirk Cousins goes next at the 1208. Eric, we're up to you with your second to last pick. Again, no kickers in this league, guys, so don't draft any kickers. 1209, Eric, who you got?
So much like Ralph, I was actually at the Dallas and Arizona preseason game. And besides Benjamin, there was a player that stood out to me. He looked like Darren Sproles out there. He doesn't play running back, plays wide receiver. He's a rookie as well. Rondell Moore, look, I mean, they were lining him up everywhere, in the backfield, in the slot, out wide. I go pure upside in the last couple of rounds. So let me get Rondell Moore. Arizona desperately needs somebody else to be a playmaker opposite of DeAndre Hopkins. I personally don't believe in Chase Edmonds or James Conner in that role. So I'll take the swing on Rondell Moore here if I can find him on my phone. There he is.
There we go. I personally am not a huge fan of Rondell Moore, at least not in Dynasty. I think in redraft at this late, he definitely is worth the swing because he is one of those players that are going to be super exciting. His size just scares me a little bit. But at this point, I agree. I think the upside is definitely there. Evan Ingram is next at the 12-10. Kyle takes Sony Michel, who is now with the Rams, if you hadn't heard. Russell Gage at the 12-12. Matt Ryan ends up being the QB2 for the 101 team at the 13-01. Alan Lazard at the 13-02. Again, if I didn't mention it already, Kyle is a Packers fan, so obviously he goes with another Packer at the end there. Nelson Aguilar at the 13-03, and we're back to you, Eric, at the 13-04.
So it seems like everybody's taking a safe quarterback and a quarterback for upside here. So it was a phrase in the beginning of 20 going into 2020. Tank for Tua. Tua Tagovailoa has looked freaking awesome in preseason. He's got a bevy of weapons around him now, including Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, not really my man Myles Gaskin, but he's looked really, really, really good. So I'm going to take him. He can rush a little bit too. I think his second year in that offense, or in the NFL, I should say. I think he's getting a little more comfortable as well.
All right, I like it. Next went Chuba Hubbard at the 1305. Jeff, you're at the 1306, and you took a homer pick, last pick with Terrence Marshall. Where are you going with the 1306 in your last pick?
Boy, if there's anyone who can rival Darren Waller for wide receiver supremacy in Las Vegas, it's potentially the standout wide receiver from South Carolina, Bryan Edwards. He's got the size, he's got the contested catch ability, he's got the catch radius, and he was hurt last year. I think that's not we know that, right? So coming back healthy, he's someone that I can take a stab at as my wide receiver 6, as someone who could potentially be a gem on a team that doesn't have a wide receiver gem. So I'm going to take a stab on Bryan Edwards.
I love it there. I've been trying to buy him low everywhere that I can get him in my dynasty leagues, and no one wants to sell him low. They all think he's going to be big this year, so I like that stab there in the 13th round. Cole Beasley at the 1307, and Robert, back to you with the 1308. You took Latavius Murray in your last pick here. What are you going with here?
Yeah, I'm somebody who doesn't draft a backup quarterback. I just go to the waiver wire when I need a bye week replacement. I don't necessarily feel like there's too much of a loss if you're going to go to the waiver wire for 1 week at quarterback. So I'm going to go ahead. I know Cole Beasley just got taken, but in my queue is the other guy who I think is going to have a better season than Cole Beasley. And I just sniped my man. Thank goodness. Little Gabriel Davis action going on. I just love this guy. I know he just got put on the COVID list too, but he's going to be there. He's going to be there for the season. And give me the guy with the better quarterback. There's a lot of receivers on here, but he's got Josh Allen. And I just think those guys are going to kill this year. And Gabriel Davis is going to be a bigger part of that. So I'll take him at the last pick.
I love it. And I love Ralph's reaction. Every time he gets sniped, you can tell he got sniped.
Oh, that one hurts my soul. Gabriel Davis is my man this year. I agree 100% with everything you said. McKenzie got hurt in practice. Sanders is one hit away from turning to dust. He's the man there, right behind Diggs, and that's a great last pick. With the other one, just to get that wide receiver depth, I'll go Jacoby Myers. He seems to be kind of the Mr. Reliable right now in New England, and just that safe slot guy there. And Cam Newton has looked for him a bunch during the preseason, so I'll take Myers. I mean, wish I had Davis, but I'll go cry.
All right, yeah, that's a great pick there at the end there, because he is probably the receiver one in that offense, and I do think Myers he showed he can do last year. He's been a pretty good receiver.
Yeah.
Gainwell goes 1311. Ryan, you have Mr. Irrelevant at the 1312. Where are you going here?
Irrelevant is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. He has a chance to be their most targeted receiver on the team. I still want to say receiver, make sure tight end or running back's probably going to out-target him. But he could be their leading receiver and playing in the slot. He could be a nice little safety valve for them and give some touchdown upside, because the other receiving class isn't it. The rest of the receiving group's not as special as he is, and he could really separate himself.
Looks like somebody on in the chat there thinks you have the best team, Ralph, even though you got sniped pretty much the entire draft. He thinks you got the best spot, so maybe it's a good thing you got sniped.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. But man, it would have been the cherry on top to get my boy Davis.
Much obliged to stealing from you.
All right, that wraps up the mock draft, guys. I want to thank you all for coming on the podcast. It's been a lot of fun. It's actually the first year we've done it like this with the interface being able to show up on the screen, so it worked out pretty well. We'll go around the room really quick here. Just give us your Twitter handle one more time. If you want to plug anything that you're working on, go ahead and do that. Jeff, we'll go to you first.
Okay. Yep. I'm Jeff Hasley. You can find my work at footballguys.com. Also run a podcast here in the Carolinas, Carolina Fandom, which is just really a gathering of Carolina fans. We talk about the games and such, and how you became a fan, that kind of thing. So appreciate you having me on, and thanks for letting us do this mock. It was fun.
Definitely glad to have you on. Erik?
Yeah, just to reiterate what Jeff said, thanks for having us on for sure. You can find me actually tomorrow night about 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. on the Fantasy Friends podcast. We just come up with a new slogan, if you will. Come for the hate, stay for the love, because we just talk trash to each other like literally the whole time, but we all love each other, right? And then just excited to be on the Sunday pregame show coming up here in a couple weeks. Really excited for that.
Good stuff. Rod, what you got going on?
That's right, sir. Well, you can find me on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network website at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Catch the Fantasy Football Show anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. Again, that's a Sports Gambling Podcast Fantasy Football Show. And then if listen, we're all NFL here, but CFL is going strong. It is regular season CFL right now. So catch my CFL DFS stuff, be a true DGen, hit that up at the CFL News Hub. I give you my DraftKings picks for the CFL season. So
you just made Kyle's night. He was the one that couldn't make the podcast tonight, but he does CFL DFS for us as well. So
hell yeah, Kyle.
Big CFL guy as well. Ralph, what you got going on, man?
Sweet, guys. Follow me on Lobo's FF10. I'm always on there, pretty active. Just overall right now, you can catch me next week. We are starting up a weekly podcast over with Dynasty Dorks. And I'm super excited with Dave to work with him on a weekly basis there right before the season kicks off. And whenever you guys need something, I'm here for it. So I appreciate you guys having me on here as well tonight, man. This was a lot of fun.
Definitely, man. Glad to have you on. Ryan.
Find me on Twitter, Foss534. Find me here every Wednesday night. And find me over at the Sports Illustrated Draft Bible. Our podcast drops on Wednesday mornings.
All right, good stuff. As always, guys, you could follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Follow the show at GoingFor2 Live. Join our DFS charity contest. I want to show the belt one more time. I know I've showed it every show I've been on, but this is the belt right here that you can win if you want to join our DraftKings contest. It's for charity. Just visit goingfor2.com/grinder21 to join that contest. For Jeff, for Eric, for Rob, for Ralph, for Ryan, I am Jeff, and we will see y'all next week.